Hello, Johnny. How you doing?
All right, Dan. Good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. How have you been getting on throughout all of this?
Um, I've enjoyed it in some ways. I suppose probably in the last maybe couple of weeks, it's you're probably missing the things that like your daily routine and that. But probably on the whole, I've enjoyed being able to spend time with the kids and not shooting off here, there, and everywhere whenever we ever get holidays. So yeah, I've enjoyed that and getting things done around the house.
How much have you been able to keep up to date with fitness routines? Presumably, you've been sent packs through by the club.
Yeah, they're constantly sending us fitness schedules through. Probably 3 or 4 times a week. It can vary. Obviously, when things are constantly being changing and dates and in terms of lockdown and that, it can alter things. But we've tried to keep as much fitness as we can. And there's been 1 or 2 times in there where I've probably thought, well, I could do a little bit of a break because mentally it's quite tough to do that with when you don't really have sort of a goal in sight. But I feel like maybe the last couple of days we've been able to sort of get our head around that and kick on again.
Good man. Well, we thought we'd do something a little bit different on this call, and we've picked out a few games during your time with the Foxes that may be memorable for the fans and for yourself as well. So we've picked out six, and we'll start with the first one and your first one, your debut for Leicester City, King Power Stadium against Wolves.
Yeah, obviously it was a good game to make my debut in terms of we won the game 2-0. Probably made it a wee bit difficult for ourselves in the end because I think Varge got sent off quite early in the second half. I can't remember the minute, but they're a good side, Wolves, and we realised that day that was their first sort of one of their first games in the Premier League, and after that game, we realised they're a very good side, well organised. They have a lot of good players. Obviously, being my debut, it probably wasn't my best of games, but I was coming off the back of a little injury that picked up in pre-season. Hadn't played football for a long time, so I was sort of feeling my way into it, and probably from that game, I probably needed more. Realised I probably needed more sort of match sharpness, more fitness, and after that, I had to bide my time to get in the team. But it was an enjoyable day, like I say, clean sheet and getting the win.
I guess when you join a new club, there's only so much work you can do in pre-season or in training. You don't really get a sense of your teammates and of the club and of the fans until you play that first game.
Yeah, I suppose so. Like I said, I picked up a little injury in one of the last sort of pre-season games, so it kind of knocked me for the start of the season. But I think I was sort of experienced enough to know that I knew I needed games, and I just had to sort of keep working hard. I wanted to play in that game, and then I played in a couple of other cup games after that, and just each game I felt like I was getting fitter and stronger, and so I think it's more about at that time coming to a new club as well. Like you say, you're getting to know your teammates, how they play on the pitch, and how they perform, and how the team performs. So it was a new experience for me, but it was one that I was enjoying.
Right, the next game we've picked out then was towards the end of last season. It was in April. Brendan Rodgers had been at the club just over a month or so, and you were playing Arsenal, and it was a fantastic 3-0 win at King Power Stadium.
Yeah, I mean, I think that game. I think they'd been playing in Europe. I think on the Thursday night, so we knew it'd be difficult for Arsenal coming back from that. Energy wise, we knew we had a fresh team ourselves, and I think the manager wanted us to really go and sort of take the game to them, show a lot of energy in the game, and hopefully they couldn't cope with that, and I think it showed on the night. And I think psychologically also it was a big result for us, to beat Arsenal 3-0 at home, and give us that confidence, and I'm sure the manager gained confidence in us from that, and also ourselves, gaining confidence in the manager at the same time, and it was probably sort of kick-started us a wee bit, even though coming towards the end of the season, but gave us that confidence coming into the new season.
The next game then was the beginning of this season. It was in September against Tottenham Hotspur. Now, the reason we've picked this one out is because there was one moment in that game that Leicester fans remember from yourself and a certain tackle.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I think as a defender, you're always. I try and stay on my feet as much as I can, but it isn't always the case. But I think the ball was there to be won, and it was one of them sort of the moments probably where I thought I might not get here, but I completely committed to the challenge. I thought I might get a booking if I don't make it, but I haven't seen it back, and sort of the speed both of us were running at, it might have looked slightly worse than that, but I don't think it was a dangerous challenge in any way. And then also in terms of the game, we were probably, like I say, another game that similar to that Arsenal one that I just spoke about, where probably gave us the confidence, especially at the start of the season. We were really up for it. I think it was an early kickoff on the Saturday, so it had a bit of a different feel to it because we don't always stay in hotels as a team the night before a game, but with the early kickoff we did, and there was a bit of a buzz about it, and delighted to get the victory. And there's a couple of sort of VAR calls in there, so there was a lot of drama added to the match, and really meant a lot to us that game. Getting that result, and like I say, Tottenham we felt like probably one of the teams that'd be in and around us in the league.
And it was a late winner, and such a brilliant late winner as well from James Maddison, and the roof came off King Power Stadium. As a group of players, obviously you were all absolutely delighted with that moment.
Yeah, I think when that goal went in, and there was a lot of emotion sort of came out in it, because I felt like in the game we were sort of probably coming out on top. We changed our formation in the second half. I think we matched them up with a diamond, and we felt like, well, the diamond would sort of been giving us a bit of problem. We felt like if we matched them up, and almost go, the same system as them, that the better team and the better players would come out on top. And we felt like we showed that in the last period of the game. Our fitness levels were really good, something that we've been really working on, and it was good that we were able to adjust tactically. So there were big moments for us, like I say, confident wise, being able to take that from that, take that into the rest of the season.
Now, we couldn't pick out a certain amount of games that you've played with at Leicester City without mentioning this next one now. It was in October of last year. It was on the south coast, a Friday night. The weather was horrible, but it was one of the most memorable games, presumably, that you've ever played in your career.
Yeah, I suppose it was a great night, and it was kind of funny because after the game you're sort of thinking, should we, we just won another game of football, so, should we really celebrate? We all started making our way to the fans, and it was kind of a bit like, no, it's important that we enjoy this moment, and it's not many times that you get to score that many goals in a game and win that emphatically. And it was a great performance by us. It was a horrible night, and we turned a horrible night into a memorable one. And horrible night, sorry, in terms of the weather.
Of course.
But yeah, it was amazing to be a part of that. And like I say, it's not very often that happens, and the goals were just kept coming. And probably should have got one myself, which was this. I'll always stick in my mind.
That in part of a record-breaking 9-0, you were so close. You were about a bootlace away, weren't you, from...
Yeah. I still don't know how I didn't get my foot on it, but I'll say I was blindsided by the guy.
Okay, the next game, we've already mentioned a win against Arsenal. This is another win against Arsenal. It was a month after that Southampton one. A bit of a different game to the 2-0, to the 3-0, sorry, that we've already spoken about, but it was another really vital win, wasn't it?
Yeah, like I said, I think the confidence from the season before, but we kind of felt like Arsenal would come, and maybe, we were very surprised with how they played on the night. We had a lot of possession, dominated the game. Probably the first half, I remember having, myself and Cags having a lot of the ball. Being able to bring the ball from our own box to the halfway line quite easy, and Arsenal was kind of set off us. And it probably played into our hands a bit. I think once we got into our rhythm, it probably took us about 30 or 40 minutes to sort of start building that rhythm and having that confidence on the ball. And once we started doing that, we were fairly in control of that game also. And it was pretty of a surprising, like I say, how they played. But we still had to go and beat them, and we did that well.
I think in a lot of those games that you won in a row, that fantastic run between October, November and December, a lot of the games that at half time you were still level. I think in some of them you might even have been behind as well, but through all of those, particularly in the second half, he showed such patience, such resolve, and that Arsenal one maybe encapsulates that the most. I think it was around the 60, 70 minute marks that the goals came, but you showed patience throughout that whole game.
Yeah, there's been a lot of scenarios like that, like you say, and we another game I can think of is the Everton game where I think we were 1-0 down. It was half time getting into that. I think the message was that, you know, we feel confident in our own ability now to try and break teams down, and we know that, you know, the game can change very quickly. So I think having belief in the style that we're playing, and more importantly, try and enjoy the challenge of breaking teams down. And I think you say that was the message, and probably in both of those games, you know, having a lot of the ball, and you know, they're the kind of the games that we want. We want to control possession, force teams to defend, and try and break them down. And that's the big challenge that probably the managers, you know, when he came to the club, he wanted to add that to our style of play. You know, Leicester have always been sort of, you know, especially over the last couple of years, more of a counter-attacking team, and you know, the managers wanted to try and change that style, and so it's important for us to embrace that. And I think we've shown at times, you know, like I say, especially at half-time in games, we've come out in the second half and really imposed ourselves, and you know, really wore teams down to the point where you know, they can't handle it anymore.
You mentioned that Southampton game, you nearly got on the score sheet. We've had to pick out a game where you did get on the score sheet. Apart from probably that Southampton one, probably the most convincing away performance in your time, maybe, with Leicester City, Aston Villa, 4-1 in December of last year?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of, I think we made it 8 games in a row. We won then, and I was speaking to one of the Aston Villa players probably, you know, about a week after that match, and I think a lot of the boys had said that, you know, we were the best team they'd played so far this season. But I think when the game's going on, it's very difficult to sort of judge, you know, how well you're doing in a game. I think, you know, there's times obviously we felt in control, but I think when they got the goal back just before half time, it was important that we didn't sort of, you know, let it sort of upset us. You know, we going from 2-0 up to 2-1, we were a bit angry when we were going into half time, and going on to my goal, I think it came quite early in the second half, which kind of calmed everyone down again, and we were able to sort of, you know, take back control of the game and play the game at our pace. And
a great header as well. We did a lot of analysis on LCFC radio and LCFC TV after it. Matt Elliott talked about the importance of heading the ball back the way it came. Was that something that you were thinking about as it arrived, or was it more just instinctive, head it back across goal?
No, we'd worked on that the day before in training. So, I mean, in training, very rarely comes off, and it probably very rarely comes off in the game. But I think you know, the majority of the time, you know, it's quite far out. So our first aim was to try and, you know, get it back on target, and like you say, get a good connection, put it back across goal, and you never know, someone else can, you know, get a touch on it or something like that. But it ended up getting in the top corner, and I wasn't complaining. And I probably from the moment I hit it, I kind of knew it had a chance, but you know, kind of it's gone right in, probably almost off the post. So it was difficult for Tom Heaton to save it.